Andla, well done, good afternoon, and just to give you a breather as well, we will carry on, of course, with this rolling coverage that you've been excellently giving us, giving our viewers for the last hour, if not more, as soon as Amabutho started leaving the palace, making their way on the streets of KwaNongoma to the mortuary, where they'll fetch the remains of the departed King Zwelithini Zulu. We will carry on, of course, bringing our viewers the visuals at 6 minutes after 1 o'clock this lunchtime here on eNCA, as we are giving you rolling coverage and hearing all that expert commentary from Spamandla Goke, giving us the ins and the outs of the Zulu royal practices and why what is playing itself out now at a standstill KwaNongoma town is happening. And the reason, of course, is that Isilo Samabandla Sesikoteme, the king, is no more. Also, this hour, I'm hoping shortly to be speaking to Professor Sihawukele Ngubane. He's the professor of African languages at the University of KwaZulu-Natal. Whilst Pamanda, you are taking a breather here, we will try and unpack some of the traditional practices around the king of AmaZulu. Professor Ngubane, good afternoon, and thank you very much for joining us this lunchtime on eNCA. We've been witnessing KwaNongoma at a standstill as there's a procession of Amabutho and the maidens singing and making their way to the mortuary on the other side of the town, where they'll be soon fetching the remains of King Zwelithini Zulu. Of course, the times are different with the coronavirus pandemic. Is there anything that we should expect not to be normal, so to speak, in terms of where we are in the environment today as AmaZulu nation bids farewell to the king?
Thank you very much for inviting me. I think we may expect abnormal incidences today because people are Majesty, and they are eager to pay their last respect to His Majesty.
Professor Ngubane, you look to have a problem with the connectivity there. Yes, people want to pay their last respects. There has been an appeal as well from the Premier of KwaZulu-Natal, Sike Zikalala, for people who are grieving the passing of His Majesty Goodwill Zulu to do so with respect to the royal family and in line with the COVID-19 regulations.
Yes, of course, everyone is aware of that, but you can't prevent the emotions of the people because the grief is expressed in different ways. Some people will shout, some people will jubilate. It depends on how people expresses their grief because everyone, the whole nation is grieving and everyone would like to be part and parcel of the send-off. But as we know that we are under lockdown protocols, I think this needs to be maintained where possible. But as you have just said that everything has come to standstill, it means people are being driven by the grief and the emotion of losing their king. So it's something that is new because the last time that it happened, it was in 1968, and some people, most of us were not there at the time. But now people want to experience this, and they want to be coming from all over the province.
Yes, and many of us, as we're watching what's happening in KwaNongoma at this hour with the maidens singing down the streets in that mood in which they are celebrating, of course, I guess, the life and the stature of the departed AmaZulu king, and Amabutho doing their part, are learning a lot. Because even the terminology, from a language perspective, that we are using, many of us were not aware of some of the expressions that are used for AmaZulu king, because he's viewed as somebody who comes from the other world and who will continue to be with us. Hence, we don't use a terminology that he's going to be buried, but that he will be planted, because he'll be reborn in others into the future.
Yes, of course, that's correct. We use the terms like kotama when the king passes on, and also even in English, we don't say he has passed away, because if you say away, it means he may have gone anywhere. But now we say he has passed on to the next world, and he's going to bow out from his position, from this current location. That is why we say kotama. Kotama means to kneel down or to bow. And also, this is in twofold. He bows out, and he will also bow down to the fallen kings. He's the 8th king, and there are 7 Zulu kings that he will be bowing down before them, so that he is acceptable as a new ancestor in the ancestral world.
Now, also, I learned another expression the other day, because he would represent that tree, that powerful tree that gave the shade for people of Amazulu nation to be under in tough times and in good times. And because Isikoteme Inkosi, he's bowing down, he will be planted so the tree can grow a grain. So the new king will be representing continuity.
Yes, when you use the term plant, we usually refer to the seed. When you plant the seed, planting the remains of His Majesty is like putting a seed on the ground that will grow into a new world. Because in the African beliefs, there is afterlife, that when you pass on from this earth, you go to another world where you will have more power to look after the living. So that is why we conduct rituals, like even if an ordinary person has passed on, there is a ritual that brings back the spirit to his homesteads, to affirm that he is now assuming a role of looking after the living. So this is what we believe, that people never die. There's a transition from this world to the new world.
How significant, Professor Ngubane, is the decision to plant the king's remains, to inter his remains in the middle of the night? I saw reports earlier that 2 of his sons were also laid to rest in the middle of the night. How significant that this is happening now? I don't recall what happened to his father in 1968, Cyprian Gabeguzulu, when he also transitioned to the next world.
That question is very important, because the whole proceedings must take place at night. One, because they want to prevent spectators coming to witness what is going on. That's the first point. And secondly, it is believed that at night there is tranquility and there's no movement. People are sleeping, and that is the opportune for the process to take its course. And also there is a belief that sorcerers take an advantage when a king passes on, because a king is a very important figure in the community, and he is a dignified king. Then there might be sorcerers who want to pick some sand for evil purposes, and then they prevent that from happening, because you never know what people are up to. And the fact that sorcerers operate at night, the timing of the burial is not exactly at night. It is early hours of the morning when it's still dark. That is when the sorcerers retire from their operation and go to sleep. And that's the right time for this event to take place. This is a belief.
Yes, it's a belief that we'll see playing itself out when the remains of Amazulu King Zwelithini are interred in the middle of the night. We are still